Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may be, or good evening or good night. This is Jen at Jen's Arty Inclinations, a place to create, share and play.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Filling a Junk Journal series. We're dealing with oversized pages today, so I often fold them up. You see this one that we made a pocket out of in our last one. Today we're dealing with some of the side folds that I do. So oftentimes when I'm binding in my pages, rather than cutting them all to exactly the same size, I'll fold in some edges or fold up some bottoms to make them all sort of roughly the same size, but it gives you this chance to make pockets and flips and all sorts of different things with your journal. And it's also a way to kind of prompt, your creativity as you're going through. And you're also getting to see all of a page. So you might have this is a ledger page, and it's really nice not to cut that off and to see the whole page as well. So yeah, a number of different possibilities. Now in the last video, you saw that I did a little bit of this next page. I had it there ready, so I just stamped the edge of that flap, and it was lovely because it has a little bit of the gesso it's picked up off the map page on the other side. So today we're dealing with this little extra flap. Now, initially I was thinking, okay, I'll use this lovely tissue as a background under the pocket, and look, it evolved. It turned into something different. So that's what I'm thinking here. And then I thought, maybe some kind of a staggered, notepad that's coming out from the spine, but it just kept changing as I went along. So you'll kind of see my little process here. I had this, that's actually a piece of rice paper, and it's got a bit of pastel on it that was, an outline from a leaf. So now I'm just tearing that down so it fits within. And at this point, I'm thinking a staggered notebook from the spine. But then I was like, I've bound something in like that before, so it does change. Anyway, now I've got a little bit of dyed paper. Cannot remember what I dyed it with to get the blue. Could be food colouring, could be watercolour, could be anything. But I crinkled it all up, and I love that it's, crinkled. Folded that in half, just measured it against the other piece, and so that was all nice and simple. And then I shortened the edges, and look, see, I just keep tearing and it just keeps evolving. So I'm still thinking tall here, tearing down the blue piece a little bit more. So I'm just doing little bits, seeing what it looks like, testing it together, then doing the next bit, seeing what that looks like, testing it together. Here I'm thinking maybe a tall notebook, so I try it in under my flap. And I sort of feel like, that all feels a bit blendy for me. So this is when I folded that tissue over the outside instead. Somehow I just had a little eureka moment, and that felt right. So tore down the blue piece so that it wasn't quite as tall, and decided, I know, I'll make a little notebook. So little notebooks are so easy. I often staple them together. This is a little booklet. Sometimes I do little notepads, sometimes little notebooks. But I do these a lot because I think it's really cute. You get different papers in this one. And this is all you do to make this flap into a pocket, see? Just glue it down, top and bottom, and then I've got a pocket. Now you could even glue it on just one side. You'll see as we go through this book, I'll probably do some different versions of these, but we'll see two versions today. So now I'm just decorating up my little book. That's a little book page title, so I popped that on the edge. You can sort of see it, show through a little bit on the cover. Now, this that I'm using on the spine, that is napkin on a dictionary page. It's the same dictionary page that I used on the page before to make the pocket with, or to put as the background in the pocket. So this is just a little way to put some consistency through your booklet. just use some of the same pieces, use the offcuts somewhere else in the book. So that way it makes it a bit more cohesive, a bit more of a complete piece as you're going through. Anyway, back to this little booklet. You saw I just used staples on the spine, and now I'm just putting a little bit of lace under that edge. And I love how you get that little show through on the front, which is really cute. Just glued the back of this. Now that's the blue that we used to make the booklet. And in the next version, I'll use the other piece of that crinkled blue. So then we get a bit more cohesion again. Just doing a little decoration on the front, doing some labels. I've shown you how to make these little labels before. These are stamped ones. And this is a butterfly that I cut in half for something else. And so now the other half of this butterfly peeks out here. How cute. So I quite like this little booklet. It's really thin too. It's only 3 pages, but one of those pages, remember, is tissue paper. So it's beautiful and thin. Stapling it flat makes it nice and thin again. But yeah, a lovely little extra journaling spot, but with interest and different papers. So it feels good too. So there you are. That's that one finished. Now I'm just doing a little bit of inking around the edges just to bring it all together. And I sanded back that gesso just a little bit more. No particular reason. It just felt right at the time. But when you sand them, it does also make sure that they don't stick to the opposite page. So just going through so that you can see how that comes up. There you are. You've got a little pocket page here with a little notebook inside. I might add something else to the edge of that pocket at the end if the book needs a bit more interest, but hopefully this gives enough contrast. I think it's that tissue paper that actually gives it the contrast, and then the blue picks up the blue in the map. All right, here's the next one. So the other side of that page that we used for the notepad, I'm going to do something different with this flap. I'm cutting it down to size, and as you can see, I'm measuring ever so carefully. Just folding so that I can just tear the edges, and that is more than enough. Now this one, I actually want to use it as a flip out. So I'm doing a little thumb hole so that people know that it's going to flip. And then I'll also add a pocket to the flip. So firstly, I just wanted to give a little bit of an indication on the edge of this page underneath. So just doing a little bit of stamping on the edge, and then that just kind of gives a margin for when somebody's journaling on it. It gives them a little bit of impression that, yes, you know, you can write on that bit. And I also want to do the same, I thought, to carry that through. I'll do just stamping on the outside. So the same, the same text stamp that I had, just using that. And that is only stamping on the flap. And now I can glue it together. So did I ink around the edges? Oh, yes, I did. So I inked around all the edges just subtly, just so that you could kind of see them lifting off the page. Never necessary to ink. I just like the look. Always have, actually, since I was a kid, I used to run along my stamp pads before we discovered the daubers that we use now. Just fabulous. Anyway, 3 lines of glue. So 1 on the top of the underneath flip, 2 on the top and bottom of the flap, and then that creates a pocket, and the page is able to flip out as well. So just making sure none of that glue has seeped through underneath, and voila, it's as simple as that. Now I wanted a bit of texture. This page felt like a texture page for me with the crinkle of the blue. So I ran this little offcut through my embosser, just with an embossing folder, and then that's texture. So you've got the stamping, you've got the flip, you've got the embossed piece, and that's a piece of, handmade paper. I did buy it from Amazon, but, you know, it's theoretically handmade paper, just so that they can use that little texture card as an actual journaling spot. I'm putting a bit of coffee dyed paper down on the back. I'm leaving that little fold on the top. I kind of like it. It gives it a bit of a title, and I'm putting it on the underneath of the embossing. And there you are. So this one I really didn't do a lot. In the next one, you'll see a little peek of it at the end, but I do a pocket on the opposite page and I add a little bit more contrast to pick it all up and pull it together. But there you go. A little bit of inking, and that's our flip out done. So that's 2 ways to handle those little oversized pages. One's a pocket and one's a pocket with a flip out. Take care, everyone. Enjoy. I'd love it if you could leave me a comment below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed what you saw today. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you next time. And in the meantime, keep creating. Enjoy.